The following program has been rated GE by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Hello viewer, welcome to GBS TV. This is the station that you love watching because of the content that you are able to get from this particular station. Here at Chungu Jamii, today I have a guest. We're going to be talking about disciplined children. I know when you hear about this, you're kind of puzzled, like disciplined children, where do we get them from? Who makes them disciplined? Are really there disciplined children in our society today? People are home now and they're going to be home with their children for about 2 months. How do you discipline your children? I'm here with your guest and she will take us through that. Welcome.
Thank you.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Tegest. I am a psychosocial advisor. I've been working with children and youth for a number of years. So I'm happy to be here and share my experience and what I know.
Welcome.
Thank
Good
you.
to have you.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you today to share with us. So in Kenya right now, schools have closed and parents are home with their children, or rather children are home for 2 months. Some parents are with them and some parents are not. And today, Tegist, we're talking about disciplined children. I don't know what comes into your mind or what you think is the expectation of the viewer when we call this disciplined children.
Yeah, when we talk about disciplined children, we have to define it in different way.
Okay.
You know, like there is the societal expectation of a discipline. There is also cultural understanding. You know, different culture understand discipline in a different way. Not only culture, but also discipline might differ from one family to another family. All family might not expect the same thing from a child. And also, like, there is an understanding from the child perspective what discipline is.
Okay.
And you know, the new generation way of thinking and the previous parent generation, or all those kind of understanding has to be taken into consideration when we are talking about discipline.
So it covers, it's defined from culture,
Yes.
it defines from the child perspective, and also from the perspective of the society.
Yes.
So this means we do not have a standard way of defining discipline.
Across the board, there are different standards.
They are different.
But there is also a minimum standard where we all have to follow.
Okay.
And all expect to be followed.
Okay. So what's the minimum standard of discipline? We could start from there so that we know this is undisciplined child and this is a disciplined child.
You know, there are certain things that everyone would agree that this child is not disciplined, or you know, he needs to be disciplined. You know, the way a child communicates is one thing. Respect is another. You know, like the Bible also says, like, a child has to respect his father and mother, his elders. And what is written on the Bible would be base for what we say, like, at least this is the minimum standard for a discipline.
Just on the point where you are, in Kenya, people ride in the matatus, you know, in the buses. So if you find a child seated in a seat in the bus, then if they stand up for you, people will call that discipline. And they will say, wow, what a disciplined child, you know, because they gave up their seat for an elderly person.
True.
Right? I don't know if that is so for Ethiopia, and not just for Ethiopia, but is that a minimum standard of discipline?
True.
It
true.
is.
Everywhere you go, like, there is a minimum standard that we all would agree that this child is a discipline. So the Bible says, like, respect. Now, respect the father, the mother, the elder is something that can be seen and also understood by everyone that it is a discipline.
Okay.
So we take that as a minimum standard, and everybody would appreciate that child who just stood
Offered
up
the
for
seat, yes.
to respect the elder that he has seen. And also like listening to your father and mother also. It is written that respect your father and mother so that you'll
days may be longer.
your days will be long. So those are something that we all would agree. However, when we go into the details and when we go into everyday life, we have to really think about each and every act that a child will show and try to understand the child. Sometimes as a parent or as a teacher or as elder people, we may misunderstand the child intention of doing some of the things that they are doing.
Okay. We may misunderstand the things that they do.
True.
You know, sometimes children are really stubborn, Tigist. And you call a child, but they listen and they don't come. You call a second and a third time, you know. And until you now become so harsh, that's when they respond. Sometimes you give an assignment and they won't do it until you have maybe had to spank them, you know, or speak a second, a third, and a fourth time saying the same thing. I think this is really an indisciplined child. What do you say?
It's very hard to say, to conclude like that. That's
Okay.
why I said, like, you know,
Okay.
there is a different understanding. And also, like, it would be really good if a parent or an elder person would understand the child perspective, the child developmental stages. There are different developmental stages where the child will be engaged in something that he's going to do. And it will be very hard for the mind of the child to go out of what he's doing when he's called by his mother or by his teacher. So we have to understand that.
And then just leave them doing what they're doing.
No, when you understand, then the response that you are going to give will be different. Because for the parent, it is disrespect.
Yes.
But for the child, it might not be disrespect. He might be fully giving attention to the thing that they are doing, to the thing that he or she is doing at that moment. So we have to find a way to stop the child and say, like, you know, I'm calling you. Can you listen?
How
I
many
know,
times?
I
How many
know.
times are you supposed to call a child before they respond and come to your attention?
Yeah, it might be a little bit frustrating for the parent.
Yes.
It might be a little bit, you know, uncomfortable and it's a lot of work. I mean, it's not easy to just, you know, keep talking to the child.
Yes.
But there are ways to get the attention of that child. You know, like touching him or, you know, communicating to him. Because, like, if you understand that he is not disrespecting you, your way of communicating to the child will be different.
So when
you
he's respecting
understand-
me is when he's done with what he's doing and then come to me. Should I let him, if he was watching a program,
Yeah.
should I let him watch until there's a break and then now come to me because he's done with what he's doing? And I should be able to understand that he was fixed and focused on something. So when he's done, that's when he should come.
That would be a little bit difficult
Yes.
from the child, from the
Parent.
parent perspective. But, like, you can go and touch the child and say, like, you know, we are going to stop this in 2 minutes or in 1 minute, and then you are going to come. So for the child, it will give him a time to wrap up whatever he's doing and stop whatever he's doing, and then engage with the parent activity that he has been called to, you know? So to give the time for the child just to wrap up things that he or she has started would be very good and would be more easier for the child.
To give them time to wrap up.
To wrap up.
How about in a case where you give an assignment and every day you have to keep reminding, you know, like you have told the child they have to maybe polish their shoes, you know, and so after school they need to polish their shoes and they don't do that, you know, you have to remind them and then they do it. Every single day you have to keep saying it. How come it doesn't stick in their mind?
It's an interesting thing. Like, you know, when you talk about discipline,
Yeah.
and when you talk about disciplining a child, we have to think about training a child. And as any other training, the life skill training also comes with a lot of work, with a lot of repetitions. You don't just get it once, because there are a number of things that the child is going to go through, and then there are a number of things that he is going to get engaged and forget, or might not remember, or that will not stick right away. Either he might not be interested in doing that kind of a thing at that moment, or he has forgotten. So it's a duty of a parent to keep reminding, and to have also a framework. You know, like when we are saying discipline, you do this, and if you don't do this, then there is this consequence. You know, we have to keep consequence as well.
Yes.
The consequence has to be here. You know, like there is this way of disciplining a child called ACT. ACT. You know, the A stands for acknowledging the feeling of the child. You know, when a child is doing something, even when a child is doing some thing that we say like is not good or is bad, we have to try to understand why he is doing it. You know, like, say for example, he's watching a movie, and then when he's watching a movie, we have to understand the feeling, acknowledge the feeling there. You know, like the movie is entertaining, he likes it, and that's okay.
So we acknowledge that.
Acknowledge the feeling.
Okay.
But after acknowledging the feeling, we have to say like communicate limit. C stands for communicate limit.
Okay.
We have to communicate limit. You know, we say like, I know you like watching this movie. It's interesting, it's nice, but you cannot watch it during, you know, this time. Now it is time for your studies.
Or polishing shoes.
Yeah, whatever. So that is the limit. And then T stands for target alternative. So we target alternative. Targeting alternative means like, you're going to watch this movie over the weekend. You're going to get it. But now is not the time. Now is the time for, you know, doing your house chorus or doing your studies. And then you'll watch it on Saturday or on Sundays. That is a very good way of communicating and teaching children how to manage themselves, giving them the power to manage themselves. Because like you can't say like no movie totally, but they will know that now is not the time, but Saturday or Sunday is the time.
Yes.
So it will give them, okay, no, it's not now. I can wait until Saturday or Sunday. So that is a very good way of directing children towards that. You know, like if a child wants to, let's say, climb the window in your house and jump from the window, or, you know, a very high place in the living room or in the, you know, you have to appreciate the
You have to appreciate.
Yeah.
When you see your son climbing over a neighbor's fence,
yes,
they don't look to you like a thief. I mean, everybody will see that and say, whose children are those? They're so indisciplined.
Why does he do that? Is the first, the A we said, acknowledge the feeling. You know, like you want to go there and then, you know, face a challenge and face, you know, like this is, by the way, basic for the development, basic thing for a developing child. It's important.
If your children brought their friends to your compound, and then the friends are climbing on the wall and the gates, you don't find them so indisciplined to do such kind of things?
I'm saying like, let me finish, like I'm trying to tell you the ACT, the acknowledge the feeling, communicate limit, and target alternative. So for this specific activity, you know, the acknowledging the feeling is like, you know, children always in that age, you know, they want the challenge. They want to go into a challenging place, a challenging situation, and try to strive to go up and come down, and, you know, all those kind of training their mind in the challenge, going into the challenge and coming out safe and sound, that's okay. And that has to be acknowledged. But the C comes.
Yes.
You communicate limits.
The limits. Okay.
Going through that kind of a challenge is a good. But you communicate limit and saying like, it's not here. It's not, going on the fence or going on something that is going to be broken or that kind of a thing.
Let's get to the example you're giving about you have communicated the limits to your children and you have acknowledged that they actually enjoy watching movie. How about when you step out and they find the TV is there and the remote is there and it's not a weekend and they go ahead and go against what is said and actually turn on the TV and watch? Isn't that indisciplined?
Yes. If you find that, then there is a consequence. You always do a consequence. Like if they have watched that movie without your presence and without being allowed, then you punish them for a week, a month, totally.
No watching.
Yes. So that is the consequence that their action has created. So when you are doing that, you are training them for life. Even in life, there is a consequence for something that you are not supposed to do. If you are supposed to go to the office and you don't go to the office, then the office will not tolerate you.
Yes.
Your absence.
Yeah.
So you'll get a consequence and you might be fired from there.
You lose your job, yes. So training is really difficult, I guess, because if training means that every time I have to tell you the same things, isn't this really frustrating for the parent? How long are you supposed to train? Because you can't keep on saying every single day, you come from school and polish your shoes. And every day you have to do the repetition. If he remembers or she remembers it's 2 days, and the third day they're forgotten and they're back to it, how long must you train as a parent?
As we said, like for activity that you have kept to be done, if it's not done, then there is a consequence in life. And as a child, that's what we have to communicate. You do this, if you don't, then there is a consequence. So they will be training themselves, and we encourage them to do it, as well as we will keep a consequence or also a reward. Rewarding and consequence both can be worked out together to just encourage the child. Because like the way our brain is wired, it doesn't, like the more we do one thing, the neural, it's kind of a neural connection where the message gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And by the time you reach some place, that connection gets very strong and you have the message well settled. But just by saying that once, it will not settle down totally. But you have to enforce it in different ways, by encouraging, by having consequence, and by having, advice, discussion, talking on the same topic, but in different ways, where it won't even stress the parent. Like it has to be something that you have to enjoy. Okay. And you have to
not
work.
Stressed about.
Not stressed about. And sometimes it's very difficult for someone to say, like, this child is not disciplined. Like he or she is in the process of being, built. They are in the process. They are not yet finished. We cannot. I mean, like if you have a house that's just started, you cannot say like this is good or this is bad, because it's just under construction.
It's just under construction.
Yeah.
Actually, many people are able to look at other people's children and make the quick conclusion and say, his children are so indisciplined, or she has really disciplined children, Like I would come to your house or you would come to my house, and the way you see my children behave or carry out themselves or talk to me or do whatever they do in the house, you quickly look at that and judge and say, she has very disciplined children. His children are not well trained. What do you think people look at generally and make that quick conclusion that his children are so indisciplined, or she does not discipline her children at all?
Yeah, I think like what we discussed earlier, you know, like the respect, the communication, just stands out in this kind of situation, I guess. Like if you just come to my house and see and judge my child is not disciplined or disciplined, it may be the way he communicated to you.
Yes.
Or
He
the
didn't
way
say hi when I
he
came.
didn't say well hi, or he didn't say, you know, all those kind of things. But
Yes.
even those well-disciplined children, you know, they have their time of, you know, creating a chaos in their house or in their school or elsewhere. So it's a process.
Like you go to a house and you are the guest.
Yeah.
You have a guest and you have served some juice.
Yeah.
And a baby just comes and sips the visitor's juice. Not even the mothers, you know.
Yeah.
They just sip the visitor's juice, you know.
Yeah.
And everybody says, oh, these children are not well trained. How do they just come to the table and take the visitor's juice or just poke their hands into the visitor's food?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Would you call that indiscipline? When you come to my house and my children do that to your food, would you call that indiscipline?
Yeah, in a way, it's not the correct way to do it. But as a mother of a, I mean, if that person has his
Younger
own
children.
children, he would or she would understand, and that might be the first time, or you know, that the child might not be communicated in that way. So the mother or the father will communicate, and then 2 or 3 times later, the child might not do that.
Okay.
You
Let's
know?
talk about the consequences that you have mentioned.
Yeah.
A lot of times, parents are quick to spank and just to beat their children. Also, once I read the Bible and I got this statement that you spare the rod and spoil the child, you know? And so we really want to beat our children. But there are parents who are so lenient and they don't beat their children. And when you look at them, people say, this mother doesn't discipline her children simply by the fact that she doesn't beat them or spank them.
Yeah, like when we talk about disciplining,
Yes.
it would be really good to understand for the parent the idea and the thought of teaching my child, not scaring my child. You know?
Teaching, not scaring.
Not. Because like if a child is scared, you know, there is 3 types of parenting style: authoritative, authoritarian, and then permissive. One is like being very aggressive and beating and scolding. The children behave well. They behave well.
Okay.
Out of
Fear.
fear. Out of fear. So there will be time when they are not afraid of the parent, and they know how to, you know, play.
Their cards cool and get out of it.
Yes.
Because
Those
thing is,
kind of
if I
child-
call the child 3-4 times, I will get to him or her with a cane.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We are talking about those kind of children.
Yes. What's
Okay?
wrong with that?
Then
Should
they
I
will-
do that?
they
Is there
will-
anything?
they
Is there
will
any
be-
danger?
They will be behaving for the time being throughout. Like this I'm telling you, like the standard parenting style, which will have a consequence later on in life. So the child just listens. Like if I tell him, don't touch, don't go, don't do this, he'll do it out of fear. But where there will be a time where he is not going to fear his dad or mom, or he will know where to make them, where they won't find out about what he's going to do. But the other parenting style is to put choice for the child, where the child will be able to choose. They will tell him, this is the consequence.
Wait, is that a
If
good
we're-
way?
A very good way.
Giving them the choice to make?
Giving them the choice to make.
From what age are they capable of
From
making?
early age,
They're able to make their own choices?
they are able to make their own choices.
I thought
But
children, when they're young, they need to be guided.
they need to be guided. But
So
it
you
is-
have to, as a parent, put the strict guidelines. This is the way you must follow. This is where you must turn. And this is where you must rest. And this is where you must arise. And this is where you must sit.
True.
Yes.
But also, like, there are things that you are going to train them from childhood, okay? Just to give them a small, I'm not saying like, you know, you eat sweets. Do you want to eat sweets or do you want to eat vegetable? Of course, the child will say like,
yes.
I will keep
do you want to eat
eating.
pizza or do you want to eat ugali? They will
Yeah.
say pizza.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. But I'm not saying about those kind of choices. I
Okay.
mean that the parent has to be wise and just to train them to choose. You know, like you do this, or else, you know, you give them a choice
Yes.
at some stage, and then by choosing that, they will they will learn to have their own what do you call it, a choice.
Yes.
For life even. They will know what to choose and why. Because like if you say like you have to study, if you don't study, then you have a consequence.
Yes.
You will keep a consequence for them. Or you can play, or you can do your homework. If you are
So in
going to
that
do
case,
your homework,
yes.
then you have a consequence.
Yes.
And if you are not going to do your homework, then you have a consequence.
So you
train
just
them.
communicate that and let it like
Let it,
that.
yeah.
You don't push like, you have to do your homework, you have to do your homework. You don't
No.
have to do that on a daily basis?
No, like, but whenever you say there is a consequence or there is a reward,
Yes.
you have to keep your word. You keep your word, and then you when you keep your word, then the child will say like, oh, mom is serious about this, you know?
So Tigis, you're saying I get home and I remind my children,
Yeah.
like you either do homework and this is the consequence or the reward, or you don't do and this is the consequence. And I let them be.
Yes.
Without having to push after 10 minutes, haven't you done your work? Have you done your work? I don't have to do that.
Then if they don't do it, then you have the consequence. Okay.
So I just relax
And then, yeah.
and wait to see what they do.
Yeah.
If they choose to play.
For example, you know, like actually parenting is a kind of art. You know, like you don't have all consequences for all children, you know? Because like consequence or reward depends on the interest of the child. If my child is very much interested in movie and the other one is very much interested in football, I take the football from him. I don't take the movie, because if he doesn't care about the movie, whether you take it or not, he feels nothing.
Yes.
But if you touch the football, then that is
they
a
feel
real
it.
motivation.
Okay.
So you really have to also find what motivates your child. You know, like
And that's what you withdraw.
yeah, I have an experience. I was working with street children in one organization. So, you know, like there is a lot of discipline had to happen in that center. And, you know, they do things that are not allowed and things like, you know, like, but we say like, you do this, you'll get this, and then if you don't do it, you'll have this consequence. So there were a group of boys, young boys, who are very much interested in football. And they have this club and they have this match going on between different organization youth. So we said like, if you don't do this, then you will not be going on Saturday for the match, for the soccer match. So said like, you're not serious. Say like, yeah, we are serious. So on the thing, like we told them to do it and they didn't do it. So we said like, okay, you're not going to go. And they thought like we were joking, and we said like, we are not joking. And they came and said like, they started making this begging and they started crying and said like, no, what we said first will apply now. They couldn't make us change our mind. Whatever they
So
say,
that's
like
what you did.
we did. And the
Okay.
next time when we say like, you do this, or immediately the work was
I wonder
done.
whether they were honest in following the instructions, or they were doing just for the sake of not being denied their soccer game. I need to hear that when we come from the break, and also about spanking. Viewer, we are taking a short break. We are coming back just now. I am here with Tigis talking about disciplined children. Do you think your children are disciplined or not? What are you doing to make them disciplined? Stay with us. We are coming back shortly. Hello viewer, welcome to
Chungu, Jamii.
My name is Tigist Hailu.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ruben West
I'm Dr. Charles Mukuka
from the United States of America.
I come from Ethiopia.
from Zambia.
I love Kenya very much.
I love the Kenyan people.
Love is not by confession. Love is by action.
Come on now.
When you are a husband, you are not a husband.
It's very important.
You can count the seeds in an apple, but you can never count the number of apples in a seed.
Her phone is her phone. My phone is my phone.
You only know what you know.
Who forced you?
The more you spend time together, the more stronger you
A woman is like a Bible.
Could tell me that they were born and it wasn't from a female, I'd like to know.
A woman, she's a good asset. And a woman, she's a very, very good investment.
When you're up, your family knows who you are. But when you're down, you'll figure out who your family is.
Thank you so much.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back, viewer. Our SMS line is 21144. We're also on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. We are here with Tigist talking about disciplined children. I hope you're enjoying the talk. Tigist, so before we went on a break, we were talking about the street children whom you denied to play the soccer match for not cleaning. And what you said is you don't care whether they are doing it for just to go for the soccer or for discipline issues. What you care about is you wanted the cleaning done and the cleaning is done. What do you think about that consequence? Do you think it lasts? Do you really make them disciplined in that way, or they just do it for the sake of not missing their soccer?
Yeah, like if you are thinking for the children at that point to love it, they might not, to be honest with you. But in that case that I told you, like the children were able to clean the house and the compound for the whole year. They continued. I mean,
it became part of their routine.
It became part of their routine. And you don't have to argue and discuss. There is no discussion.
Because you are firm and strict.
Yes.
And a lot of times parents bargain a lot.
Yeah.
They bargain with their children. And so the children do not know when they're firm, when they are honest, and when they're going to change their mind. Because children will come and beg, Mommy, please, the last time I won't do it again. And then the parents change their mind. Is that a good way of applying the consequence?
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not.
So when you say, I will not buy you a bicycle, that's what you mean.
Yeah. First, before you say anything, just think about it. Because like sometimes emotionally you would say like, I will buy you this or I will do this. And then when it comes into reality, then it might not be real. So you think about it and be serious, because like the child will take your word.
So when you are committing yourself, what are you supposed to base your commitment on? Whether on, if they have done good, you reward. If they have done evil, you punish. So when you want to commit and promise a bicycle, for example, for your son, are you supposed to look at the deeds? Like, I told you, you have to get an A grade, for me to buy you a bicycle. I told you, you have to do this for me to do this. And because you haven't attained that, then I will not. Is that how you're supposed to base your merits or demerits?
Like it doesn't have to be like calculated that way. It would be good like to reward and consequence has to be there, because it is part of life. When you are training your child, you are training him or her for life.
Okay.
In life it's the same.
Yes.
You do good, you get reward. You do bad, you get the punishment. So that is the principle in life. But also like sometimes you have to really see the root cause. Like say for example, if your child is not achieving at school, and you say like you keep on saying like achieve A or else you are not going to get the bike. Rather than saying that, you should be able to get closer to the child and see why he's not achieving
the A's.
Yeah. What is the problem? Because like sometimes when we give them things that are beyond their capacity or beyond their ability, then that might be
Too much
frustrating. Frustrating for the child. And it's not only from the child's side that the parent gets frustrated. Also, parents can frustrate their children. And in Ephesians 6, it says like, parents, don't frustrate your child, your children. So parents also can be the source of frustration. So they have to really get close to the child and try to understand why that child is not doing the thing that he's doing.
Okay.
And also like try to see the social association of the child also. If he has a bad behavior, with whom is he associating? Is it a good environment? Where is he getting this kind of behavior? And try to intervene and rescue the child from that kind of association.
Let's get to this point you had spoken about before, where you're calling a child and they are not responding. You're telling them to do something and they're not doing it, and it's repeated action. They are always making the same mistake, much as you keep talking about the same thing. And you said that as a parent, you just need to continue repeating because that's training. I want to bring in the issue of beating a child. Does beating help? Does it change something? Is it a way of instilling discipline as well?
If you beat a child, the child will be doing that, whatever you are telling him to do or telling her to do at that moment, but might not continue to do it. So when you are talking about beating, why do parents usually beat their children?
Because they don't listen, I guess.
and because they want to take out their anger also.
Yes.
So that's a bad motive. It's just to feel good.
To feel good, really?
I mean, to just release your anger and then, guess.
That's why they beat.
At times, yes. But, like, if your intention is teaching, you teach the child in that way,
With
like
a cane.
You teach the child by choosing. You choose in a life. You choose to go to do good, or you choose to do bad. And you choose to do good, you have a reward. You choose to do bad, you have a consequence.
Does the cane help? Does beating help?
If you ask most parents, I'm sure like they will say, like, I have been beating him. He's been doing this thing worse. I mean, he has turned to be worse. So, I mean, if you talk to many parents, that will happen, or else they will be so scared and so afraid without knowing the benefit of why to do that. They will do it.
So when you beat them, they will do whatever you want them to do just at that time.
And then after a while,
what is the disadvantage of beating them, other than them just doing it for that time that you beat them? What happens later? How does it affect your relationship, the parent and the child? How does beating affect your relationship, other than what you had said? It instills fear in your child.
It instills fear, and also, like, they might not be as close as they have to be. Like, there is a better way. When we are talking about discipline, we are talking about teaching, training. So the Bible says, like, train a child in a way he should go.
Yes.
So you are training. When you are training, you don't beat. You train. You keep telling that person again and again.
But you
in a
spare
different
the rod
way.
and you spoil the child.
That's a different discussion.
Okay.
Like, there is some kind of a book written on that. It might be a little broader, but we can discuss that later some other time. But just to focus on the discipline part, if your intention is not to beat your child or for you to let out your anger, if you are doing that, that's a wrong motive.
Okay.
But
so you should beat just to correct. I wonder when you know it is time to beat and time not to beat. Because for you to pick up a cane and beat your child as a parent, you are really, really angry.
Yeah.
And also, you can see that they have defied a lot of times. Because I don't think you just beat on the first mistake.
Yeah.
You have said this thing 4 days, and the 5th day, get annoyed and get a cane. Is that wrong?
So the parent is annoyed and is angry.
Yes.
So it is,
and they have kept it for so long.
When he or she is angry that they do that, right? But it's not a way of taking out anger on a child. It's again to teach. Why is not that child learning?
Exactly. Why don't they learn? What is it that they lack that they don't learn? How come they don't listen? Why do you have to say 10 times and they still make the mistake, the same one?
As I told you previously, like, instead of beating, why can't a parent use the choice thing, the reward thing, or, the consequence thing?
It may be a very, very long debate on whether to use a cane or not. But I'm hopeful that the parents who are listening today have been able to learn something, especially on the choices, the consequences, and the rewards, and that they're able to apply that.
Yeah.
Because we are out of time, I would wish that you give to our viewers your last words or your parting shot.
Okay. Yeah. As a last word, I would say, when you're talking about discipline, think about training a child. Anybody can be trained. an adult is trained and a child is trained. So trying to understand the child more and getting close to the child more would help the child to learn and would create the environment, the loving environment, where he will be able to learn without being scared or stressed. So that's my message.
Without being scared or stressed.
Yeah.
I like that. Viewer, I am so excited that you have been here with me watching Tiggy speak to us about disciplined children. I hope that you now know where disciplined children can be made, and also what you need to do to make them disciplined. They have to be trained. Tiggy says even adults are trained. Thank you so much for watching Chungu cha Jamii at GBS. My name is Betty. I've been your host. See you next time.